Coming up, taxes and the presidency. Find out how much President Obama and Mitt Romney will be paying in income tax if a new law passes. And commercial real estate in the district. We'll look at how some DC landlords are giving out free rent to attract tenants. Welcome to the Business and Technology edition of District Wire News. I am Brittany Hood. The tax day is coming up tomorrow, but presidential candidates have already released their tax returns. Lisa Sylvester has the story on who is paying the highest rate.
Taxed at a higher rate, the president, Mitt Romney, or the president's secretary. It might surprise you, but it's actually the president's secretary. She makes $95,000 a year. The Obama administration confirms her tax rate is higher than the president's 20.5%, the rate he paid on the $789,674 he made last year. Romney's projected tax rate was even lower, about 14%. Yet Romney's projected salary was more than $20 million last year. Democratic strategist Liz Chatterton says the tax rate gap is an argument that's hurting Romney.
Does it look good to people 4 years after a terrible recession where most people in this country are struggling to make ends meet? No. In my business, we call that an optics problem. He's got a serious optics problem around his tax returns.
President Obama has been driving the point home with calls for Congress to pass the so-called Buffett rule that would increase taxes on people whose earnings top $1 million. Mr. Obama, who made less than that, wouldn't be included based on his 2011 returns. Neither would Vice President Joe Biden, who last year made about $379,000. But the Romney campaign is firing back. Spokeswoman Andrea Saul saying, quote, "It's no surprise with the worst job creation record in modern history that President Obama would try to distract Americans from the real issues with a series of sideshows." Romney pays a lower rate on taxes because most of his income comes from interest on investment and savings, as opposed to earned income from a paycheck. Conservative writer Stephen Moore says Romney has to do a better job explaining why personal success shouldn't be penalized.
I think Mitt Romney has to make the point, look, my money was investment income. This is from saving and investment. We need more of that if we're going to have a growing economy. And to raise taxes on the investment that people put into businesses is not a way to create jobs.
Romney is also under pressure to release his final 2011 returns, which the campaign says he will do. Democrats want more, though. They want him to release tax returns going back into the last decade.
Splunk Incorporated and Infoblox Incorporated just may be the top two leading technology companies for IPO this week. Splunk makes software that allows companies to collect and analyze large amounts of data. They plan to raise as much as $135 million on NASDAQ. Infoblox combines hardware and software in appliances, which have been sold to more than 5,400 companies. They hope to raise $106 million under the New York Stock Exchange. The Federal Communications Commission has stopped Google's Street View project, which took pictures of every street and gathered information about local wireless networks. The FCC fined the company $5,000 for it and started a legal investigation, but it had to stop it because the head Google engineer, who cited his Fifth Amendment rights, declined to talk. Google claims that the pictures are helping to make Google Maps look better, and the wireless information is helping to make searches easier. Thousands of people lost access to their data stored on Mega Upload servers when the Justice Department shut down the site in January. Now digital rights advocates are asking a federal court judge in Virginia to allow the legally uploaded data to be returned to its owners. A spokesman for the Motion Picture Association of America says they would not object to users getting their legal data back, as long as Mega Upload could make sure no one was obtaining illegally uploaded data. Nevertheless, film studios are expected to block the plea with the argument that no such oversight is possible, so all the content, legal and illegal, should remain blocked. JP Morgan, the first major U.S. bank, has reported a rebound in profits in the first 3 months of 2012. Revenues jumped to $27.4 billion and has 24% increase from last year. Wall Street analysts say that JP Morgan had beaten even their raised expectations. Wells Fargo also had a strong revenue growth of $23 billion. Citigroup reported that they earned $1.11 a share in the first quarter of 2012. This number is up 7% from last year. According to a Bloomberg survey, the 7% increase exceeded analysts' estimates of $1.02 a share. China is taking steps to make the yuan a global currency by adjusting its currency trading rules. The People's Bank of China says that starting Monday, it will double the trading band. This will allow the currency to rise or fall against the dollar. The yuan is now able to fluctuate by 1% every day compared to its previous limits of 0.5%. Christine Lagarde, the International Monetary Fund's managing director, is now supporting the move. And meanwhile, China has reported to have weaker than expected growth in the first quarter numbers. Their economic growth has declined to 8.1%, which is their lowest growth in 11 quarters. China's previous growth was 8.9%, and they predicted their numbers to be 8.3% for the first quarter. A demand drop in the United States and Europe is said to be the reason for the decline of the Chinese economy. The U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Apple and some other ebook companies over alleged pricing fixed in the iTunes store. Lydia Bayou is at the news desk with details of antitrust allegations and the parties involved.
Thank you, Brittany. A lawsuit brought by the federal government last week might make it less expensive for you to read your favorite books on an iPad or Kindle. That's because the Department of Justice has brought an antitrust lawsuit against Apple and several ebook publishers. The government is charging the companies with price fixing in order to raise the prices on digital books. This goes back to when the iPad was first introduced in 2010. The Justice Department says Apple and several of America's major publishers agreed to what's called the agency model. This allowed publishers rather than the ebook retailers to set their own prices, so long as Apple received its 30%. And they had to offer their lowest ebook prices through Apple. The contract signed between Apple and the publishers basically put other ebook vendors at a disadvantage in the marketplace. The Justice Department says this move served to sideline Amazon, which pretty much controlled the ebook market at the time. More importantly, though, it cut competition and sent ebook prices above the standard $9.99 price. DOJ says the digital book consumers may have spent millions more than they needed to because of this secret deal. Now Apple has responded by saying that it's done no wrong and was just trying to foster innovation and competition with Amazon in the publishing industry. Let's not forget that book publishers have really been struggling this past decade, and analysts say the outcome of this case could have major impact on their industry. Back to you, Brittany.
People may be in love with their ebooks, but a new survey shows some still like to feel a paper between their fingers too. USC and the Los Angeles Times teamed up to talk to 1,500 Californians about their reading habits and found that only 10% of e-reader owners abandoned traditional books. The survey also found that more people are reading and that in March, 4 out of 5 Californians read for pleasure. Now you can enjoy your ebook in the dark. U.S. retailer Barnes & Noble just unveiled their latest Nook e-reader that has a screen that glows in the dark. Dubbed with the Simple Touch with Glow Light, it has an LED-based lighting system which users can turn on when there's not enough light. The new 6-inch device will cost $139, $40 more than the original version. Facebook has just bought Instagram, mobile photo sharing app, for $1 million. Doug Gross, a CNN reporter, will explain what it means for an average consumer and the industry in the whole.
One of those cases where somebody seems to have really found a need that nobody else had fully identified yet. So Instagram launched in late 2010, and as of spring of this year, they had over 30 million users. Basically what it does, it lets you shoot photographs with your mobile phone, which it's now on Apple devices like the iPhone as well as on Android devices. And with one touch, you can add a layer of digital effects. They've got filters that make it look like an old-style Polaroid picture from the 1970s. They've got ones that add color, ones that turn it black and white, ones that give them sort of grainy appearances. So it's really a quick, easy way for people who may not be hardcore photographers to make their photos look kind of cool. In the past, if you wanted to shoot photographs of something, you had to load up your camera, have your camera with you, have film in the camera even at some point. Now, as long as you've got your phone in your pocket, you're a photographer, right? The interest in photography, whether it's very basic photography or even people taking their iPhones or other smartphones and doing really kind of artful, advanced photography, has been growing exponentially in the past couple of years. You can share right there on Instagram, and Instagram has built up a lot of communities. There are a lot of people who are really popular Instagram users with tons of followers. So a lot of people like to stay right there on Instagram. Of course, you can push those images to sites like Facebook, sites like Twitter. So a lot of people enjoy kind of fancying up their photos a little bit and then sharing with all their friends on their different social networks.
Correction, Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion. Coming up next on Business Wire, Metro fare increase. Metro has found an easier way for commuters to ride for cheap, but there may be an increase in some bus and rail fares. We'll let you know. And later, commercial real estate in the district. DC Real Estate has found themselves with more vacancies than wanted. Now realtors are trying a new, freer way to fill the void. Stay with us.